The New York Post front page headline, Dumbotron. I spoke with workplace expert Stephen Viscusi.
This requires, to me, not one, but two resignations.
His wife has now deactivated her account. The wife later dropped her married name on her Facebook account. What a class act. Go Megan. Get that divorce lawyer and get the money. Okay.
Oh no. Is Andy Byron and HR having an affair still hold their positions at the company? Is it ethical?
He's married with teenage children. Kristen Cavett has been divorced for 3 years. She was hired just 8 months ago. And now that 15 seconds of video is having a devastating impact on both of their lives.
An employee accuses CEO Andy of being toxic, says former employees are cracking up over the video. The married CEO was caught on the big screen with the company's HR chief at the Coldplay concert.
This man says he's a former employee of Andy Byron, the man who was caught having an affair with the head of his HR department at a Coldplay concert. And this guy's story is why this affair is more than just an affair. Listen to what he has to say.
If you think his marriage is the only thing that Andy Byron ran into the ground, then I've got a funny story about karma for you. Before being Astronomer CEO, Andy Byron was also Chief Revenue Officer of a different software company, where he hired a lot of hardworking, great people with high hopes for their careers by promising them the opportunity of a lifetime that would completely change their future, solve any financial worries their family or children might ever have. I also had the questionable privilege of being interviewed and hired.
It started with a song. Chris Martin was halfway through a soulful set at a sold-out Coldplay concert. The stadium lights dimmed, phones lit up, and thousands of fans swayed to Viva la Vida. Then the camera panned, as it always does, to the crowd, hunting for couples, best friends, or anyone brave enough to kiss on cue. And that's when the chaos began. There they were, a man in a tailored suit jacket and a woman in a sharp corporate dress. But instead of leaning into the camera with a laugh or a smooch, they froze. Not the cute kind of shy, not the playful kind of awkward. This was panic. She, Kristen Kitt, whipped her head away from the camera so fast it looked like she was dodging a subpoena. He, Andy Byron, tried to melt into his chair like a guilty teenager caught sneaking in after curfew. The crowd giggled. Chris Martin joked, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. Turns out, it was the first one. And it wasn't just a scandal, it was a detonator. Within hours, TikTok exploded. Someone who clearly worked at the same company, Astronomer, posted the clip with a now legendary caption. "Oh my god, is that our CEO Andy Byron and the HR chief Kristen Kitt?" Boom. The dam broke. No more rumors. No more whispers and Slack channels. The affair was out, on the Jumbotron, at a Coldplay concert. And the internet? It didn't just run with the story, it sprinted. By the time the Kiss Cam clip hit its 3rd million views, something strange started happening. People weren't surprised. In fact, dozens of current and former Astronomer employees flooded comment sections with the same vibe. Oh, we've known! What had been a bubbling whisper in internal channels was now viral fact. Andy Byron, CEO of a multi-billion-dollar AI company, was allegedly in a relationship with his own head of HR, Kristen Kitt. The woman paid to uphold the rules was breaking them with the man who wrote them. And it wasn't subtle either. Kristen, once a mid-level hire, had rocketed up the corporate ladder at warp speed. Promotions, perks, power. She'd become one of the most influential people in the company, right as rumors about her special relationship with Andy started to surface. Employees noticed. They saw how deserving team members were passed over, how policy decisions suddenly started to feel personal, how Kristen seemed untouchable, even while bending the very HR codes she was supposed to protect. Behind closed doors, people whispered about favoritism, manipulation, and a toxic culture where speaking up felt like a career-ending move. But no one had proof. No one had the guts. Until the Kiss Cam handed them the smoking gun. In 20 seconds of awkward eye contact and stiff body language, years of rumors went from speculation to public spectacle. This wasn't just an affair. It was a secret everyone inside Astronomer already knew, and one they were finally free to talk about. The Kiss Cam may have exposed the affair to the world, but inside Astronomer, the real detonation came later. That's when the whistleblower stepped forward. An ex-employee, someone who had once worked shoulder to shoulder with top leadership, broke their silence. And what they revealed wasn't just scandalous, it was systemic. According to this insider, Andy Byron wasn't just a CEO, he was a puppeteer, a man who carefully pulled strings behind closed doors while presenting a clean, charming face to the world. The manipulation wasn't just personal, it was professional, calculated, and weaponized. Need proof? Try this. The same CEO who convinced investors to pour in nearly $2 billion also allegedly convinced his own chief people officer to show up at a public concert while in the middle of a relationship with him, while both were married, and while the company was under scrutiny. And that wasn't the worst of it. The whistleblower claimed that anyone who questioned Andy's decisions, anyone who even got too close to discovering the truth, was swiftly shut down, written up, reassigned, or worse, pushed out with the classic corporate kiss of death. Your role has been eliminated. It wasn't a coincidence. It was retaliation. And Kristen Kitt? She wasn't just complicit. She was allegedly the enforcer. Fast-tracked into power, she became Byron's shield and sword inside HR. The very person tasked with protecting employees was now being used to silence them. Together, they ran Astronomer like a toxic power couple straight out of an HBO drama. Promotions were political, loyalty was currency, and dissent? That was dangerous. The company didn't just have a bad culture, it had a culture of fear, and now that fear was turning into fury.
Days after an appearance on the big screen had a man and woman ducking for cover.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Having an affair with very sharp.
The Coldplay frontman's assumptions seemingly accurate, as the man, identified as married astronomer CEO Andy Byron, has since resigned from his position. The woman he was spotted getting close with? That's the company's head of HR, Kristen Cabot, who Byron is not married to.
The two executives caught on that now infamous Coldplay kiss cam were first identified on a TikTok account of someone who apparently works at the company. Oh my God, that looks like Astronomer CEO Andy Byron and Astronomer Chief People Officer Kristen Cabot.
Which means he can do whatever he wants, and he can get rid of people however he wants, even if it's unjustified. There's a lot of companies, a lot of investors, a lot of employees that are relying on this man, Andy. Yet he's brazen enough to go to a Coldplay concert and not care who sees him. That's why this is such a big story. It's the HR department and the CEO essentially telling all of their employees, do as I say, not as I do.
When the dust began to settle from the kiss cam fiasco and the whistleblower's bombshell, Astronomer's glossy tech empire started crumbling from the inside out. Employees weren't just angry, they were betrayed. Many had poured their savings into company stock options, buying into the dream that Andy Byron sold so convincingly, the promise of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a seat at the AI revolution, generational wealth. Instead, they watched it all vanish. Astronomer's valuation plummeted. The company was sold off for pennies on the dollar. Employee shares became worthless, and the people who stayed loyal through toxic management, poor morale, and office politics, they were left with nothing. Nothing, except the image of Andy Byron and Kristen Kitt walking away unscathed. While the rest of the team watched their dreams collapse, Andy and a handful of top execs exited with golden parachutes, multi-million-dollar payouts that ensured they'd land safely, no matter how hard the crash. There was no apology, no accountability, no press conference to explain, just silence. And Kristen? She disappeared, her LinkedIn scrubbed clean, her presence on the company website gone overnight. No explanation, no statement, just digital dust where her name used to be. It was betrayal on every level. The two people most responsible for setting the moral tone of the company, the CEO and the HR chief, had not only broken every code of conduct, they'd profited from it. And for the employees who gave everything, They were told to move on. But the internet wasn't ready to move on, because something even colder was coming. In every scandal, there's someone the media overlooks. Someone who doesn't make a statement, doesn't drop a podcast, doesn't beg for sympathy. In this story, that person was Megan Byron, Andy's wife. While the world was laughing at kiss cam memes and corporate takedowns, Megan was quietly doing something far more powerful than any press release. She changed her Facebook profile, removed her married name, and then disappeared. No interviews, no rage posts, no dramatic messages about betrayal or heartbreak, just silence. Intentional, razor-sharp silence. And the internet noticed. People called her the real MVP, the queen of dignity, a masterclass in quiet revenge. She didn't have to drag Andy's name through the mud. He was already sinking on his own. All she did was drop the Byron and let the world know she was out. One quiet move, more iconic than anything Andy ever accomplished. The internet rallied behind her. Comment sections lit up with praise. Megan walked away like a boss. She's the real winner here. I hope she gets the house, the kids, and the yacht. Because while Andy and Kristen scrambled for damage control, Megan made one thing clear. She didn't need to say a word to bury them. Their actions had already done the talking. And her silence? That was the loudest statement of all. By now, Astronomer wasn't just trending, it was imploding. The company board, cornered by viral outrage and investor panic, had no choice. Andy Byron resigned. Kristen Kitt vanished from the org chart like a bad memory. But there were no statements, no accountability, no mutual parting of ways, PR fluff, just two empty chairs at the top of a broken company. And the real chaos? It was still unfolding behind the scenes. Insiders whispered about a full-blown investigation, a flurry of emails, lawyers brought in, HR cleaning up HR's mess, Slack channels combed for messages that could burn the whole place down. Even the New York Post got involved, dubbing it Dumbotron, a front-page headline that perfectly captured the absurdity of $1 billion downfall triggered by one moment of PDA at a Coldplay concert. Astronomer's reputation? Toast. Their culture? Cracked wide open. Even Fortune magazine warned that the consequences would be severe, not just legally or financially, but psychologically. Trust had been shattered, not just between the leadership and staff, but among the staff themselves. Who knew? Who helped cover it up? Who looked the other way? And yet, through all of this, the public couldn't stop watching, couldn't stop laughing, couldn't stop clicking, because this wasn't just a scandal, it was a corporate soap opera in real time, a reminder that even the most polished CEO can be undone by one dumb moment, one live camera, one Coldplay concert. And now, people are asking, will the Slack messages leak? Will Kristen ever show her face on LinkedIn again? Will Astronomer survive it all? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing's certain, this wasn't just an affair. It was a masterclass in how not to lead.